Hi everyone, hope you're all doing fine. So today I'll be covering a little bit on what is HTML and the best practices, and then we'll check about elements and the attributes. I hope by now everyone has downloaded a given editor of their choice. I had recommended that you download Sublime Text, but if you have downloaded any other, it's still okay. So HTML, it's an acronym for Hypertext Markup Language. So all websites, they use the HTML. So whether you're using a programming language to design your website or a web app, you still need HTML. And what HTML does is it gives meaning to your text or your content. And we'll be seeing this when I go into doing the practical part. And so when you're designing a website or when you're writing HTML code, there are best practices that you need to follow, such as you need to use the proper document structure. You can read more on this in the article that I've written here, and I've provided the link in the group, or if you can't see the link in the group, I'll provide the link as well on this YouTube channel just below the video in the description part. And so their best practices, as you can see, we have here there is here a HTML document, and you have proper structure here. And so when you're writing your HTML code, it's good for it to be readable. It's good for it to be well structured out, so that things don't seem to be jumbled over each other. Okay, and so I know right now you might not understand all these, and you get to know them as time goes by. Okay, so another thing is to declare the correct doc type. So at the top here you can see doc type HTML. So this is simply the document type, and so this tells the browser that this is a HTML document, so that the DOM, document object model, can display it in the right manner. And then you have to use the opening and close tags. As you can see, you have here this title, and then you have another title, and then you have something in between. So this is what will be displayed on your browser. So when you have written, like here you have this, and then you have this. So anything that is in between the two angles, you have this angle, and then you have the other angle, and then you have something in between. So this is known as a tag, and then H1 alone is known as an element. Okay, so this stands for headline, and we'll be looking more into that as time goes by. And then you need to validate. So when you write your code, you need to ensure that the syntax is correct. And so you can use what is known as the validator. So if you have a link, maybe your website is online, you can paste it here, and then you can check. If you have just a document, you can upload it here, or you can as well just copy the text that you have and paste it in here. For example, I have some codes here, so I'll just go on and I'm going to copy all this, and I'll come here and I'm going to paste. So if I click on check, now I'm validating my code. So it will go through it, and it will display the result, whether my code is okay or not. And so from that, I can be able to make any corrections if needed. Okay, it seems to be taking long to load this document, so I'll just proceed. But that's how you do the validation. Actually, it has loaded. That's good. So you can see here, if you see warning, you can go back to your code, and they say from line 1, column 1 to line. So you can see here this HTML. At the top here, they have written consider adding a lang. So if I come here they have said I consider adding here the language like that. So I could add the language, and I could write something like that. So if it's not correct, it will still display the error if I go on and recheck it. But if it's right, that error will no more. You can see the error is gone. And now they say add the doc type. As I said, among the best practices, you'll see that you need to declare the correct doc type. So if I add the doc type in here at the top, if I add the doc type, that error should now be done away with. So now you can see they say missing the declare doc type name. Okay, so you need to so it's doc type. I've just written document type, but which type? So I have to declare it is a HTML. And that's why I'm being given you can see nameless doc type, all this. So when you're validating your code, this helps you to know where the mistake is, and you can correct that. Now you can see document checking completed, no errors or warnings to show. Okay, so you can go through all this and check on the various best practices when writing HTML, and just familiarize yourself with them. You can always go back to it. So the next thing that I'm going to look at, it's the elements. So when you're writing a HTML code, you always have elements. So with an element, you have a closing or opening tag, and then you have a closing tag, and then you have the content in between. For example, when you look at these codes here, so I have here, this is H1, and then I have, this is the content, and then I have this. So that's the best practice, and that's how you write your HTML elements. However, there are also HTML elements that are called empty and empty elements. So for empty elements, you don't have opening and closing tag. You only have one, that is the opening tag. There's no closing tag. An example is the image. When you're writing an image tag, for example, if I write here an image tag like that, I don't have a closing tag. It's only just like that. Okay, and then you have what is known as attributes. So attributes, they just give more information about a given tag. An example is in here. So this wrapper is an attribute, and so attributes most times they help with when you are styling your code. So when you are applying the CSS, they come really in handy. Okay, so we are just going to do a practice. By now I hope you already downloaded an editor. If you haven't, you can go back to reading my earlier article on getting started with web development. Okay, so now I invite you to open your editor, and as I had mentioned earlier, I'll be using Visual Studio, this one. So this is the Visual Studio code, and I'll be using it. Okay, so go on and open, and then so I'm going to show you how to create a HTML code. So first, or HTML document. So first I'm going to create here a folder, and I'm going to call this folder tutorials, like that. Okay, so in here I can come and I can create just a file. Okay, I can create a file. So I could use this, and I can just name it me.html. So if I save, then I can click here like that. Can click on open or open with, and I have here various options, so I can choose a different app. Okay, more apps. So I'm going to open it with a web browser. So since it is blank, so it should be able to open. So since it is blank, nothing is going to display. So you can see nothing other than just that given text. Okay, so but this the way it looks isn't right, so it means there is something wrong. So I want you to open your editor and just go to your given editor. You could do here at the top. Okay, so you can add file, or you can open all that. So I'm going to open a folder that I created so that all the work that I'm doing, they'll be within that folder. So that's the folder. Now it's opened. So I can come in here in my editor and I can add a file here. I can write example.html. So right now, you can see how this looks. So it looks totally different from the way the other file looked. Okay, so now this is a right format. Okay, so I can come in here and I can write my name is so I can do that and I can save this work. Then I can just come here, and if I open this, you can see whatever I wrote, it's displaying here. However, here you can see I haven't used any HTML tag, but it is still displaying. Okay, so what the browser did is it tried to make sense from my work. So I want you to right click and then go to inspect element. So you can see this side, you can see you didn't write anything, but here the browser has tried to give meaning to your text. So it has tried to write the code for you. Okay, so the purpose of HTML is to give meaning to your content. So even though the browser has tried to give meaning to your code, but now you don't know whether this is a heading, is a paragraph, is a list, so you can't tell. And that's why HTML comes in handy, and when you're writing, that's the main purpose, to give meaning to your text. Okay, so I have some work for you, and what I like you to do is to find a website, any given website, and to inspect it. Just click on right click and then go to inspect, and I want you to see here whatever is in here. Okay, or you can click here where you have sources, and I just want you to click on the given index file and go through it, see what is contained in there. Even though nothing much won't make sense, but I would just like you to go through it, and I want you to comment what you can see from the given website inspect element, what the given developers tool is showing you. So you right click, then you go to the sources, and then you click on index, so index.html of any given website. Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to comment in the comment section or in the group. See you next week, Monday.